Hey guys, Technomentor with the video for you guys. In today's video, we're going to talk about iOS 16 on the iPhone 12 mini here. Now, big surprising news with the release of iPhone 14 lineup, iOS 16 was released, and another disappointing thing from Apple, from some users have expressed it, that there is no longer a mini edition. So the only mini edition that you can get is the 12 mini if you have that one, and the 13 mini. So the 12 mini, if you recall, was released back in November of 2020, so it's almost close to 2 years since it's debuted, and it's a compact device, small device, but definitely mighty and powerful smartphone out there on the market right now. If you're looking for a smaller phone but be able to take advantage of the powerful chip set on it. So in this video, we're going to talk about the experience of updating to iOS 16, what do you need to know about downloading iOS 16, some of the top features that might be worthwhile for you to explore or consider iOS 16, performance on iOS 16 on this 12 mini, and of course we have to talk about the battery, and lastly any sort of bugs or issues we have seen or heard about so far or experienced using the iPhone 12 mini. So let's dive right into this. So the 12 mini, again, just a quick overview, it's a 5.4-inch display that you can get this phone. If you get it, again, you'll see that there is two 12 megapixel camera on the back, comes in multitude of color. Here we have the black edition one. We also know things like the chipset we mentioned has the A14 Bionic chip, and this year on the iPhone 14 model they have the A15 Bionic chip. So chip wise, it's not too far behind. You do have 4 gigs of RAM, as we mentioned here. It's a small phone, but definitely mighty. The one thing that's probably lacking is the size of the battery, which we'll touch a little bit later in the video. So let's talk about the top features of this phone. So first features we'll notice here is lock screen. So customization on the lock screen, again, is one big feature we can't miss here. As you can see here, we can now simply customize the lock screen. Things like we can add widget, we can add things like apps to give us a notification, and then we can even customize things like the actual font. We can customize the color. Again, cool things, hit that add button and you can set up different level of your customization. As you can see here, again, gives it more of a life in terms of customization, which is surprising because Apple doesn't usually go towards that route where they just give you something and you don't have much choice. The next thing is probably that you'll probably notice is around the iMessages or the text messages in general. So if you notice text messages on iPhones, it's probably a reason why most users use it, but let's go ahead and send a text and show you the new features you get on texting. So one feature, you're going to be able to edit text messages that you send. So let's go ahead and add it. This one, as you can see, I hold it down and then I do some edit. Of course, it will say edited, but I'm able to edit a text. Along with that, I can also do a undo send almost instantaneously. As you can see, it just popped and gone. And lastly, if you swipe to the right on a text message, you'll notice here you have the option to unread or reply later. As you can see here, we have a notification, so you can come back to it whenever you want to, and those are going to be some things. Along with those reply later, you also have the ability to unsend emails is another feature. Now moving on to the next big feature that you might be interested in is ability to actually isolate background on pictures. So if you took a picture, you have an object, you want to isolate, as you can see here, but simply by holding it, the phone able to scan it and get the picture, and then we can go ahead and send it over to somewhere else or put it in a note or somewhere else. And as you can see here, we simply went from a full photo, edited it, to just having the background, and we're good to go. So those are going to be another feature. Other features to note about the iOS 16 is going to be around focus mode. Again, updates to focus mode. If you use focus mode, you'll notice here, if you go to customize it, you'll have new focus mode and also the option to customize focus mode even further down than you had in the past. And then the next thing, again, with major update, Apple always goes around updating their privacy and security, where they renamed privacy and security. You have things like safety check and other features as well, which we'll make another video to discuss that in further, but there's really a lot of minor details. And then along with security and improving user experience, there's also going to be pass keys authentication, that for sites that support it or apps that support it, we can actually use your iPhone without using passwords to log in and things like that, which we'll see. And then moving on to other minor things, you'll probably notice here, again, updates to things like the actual notification bar. Again, every iOS update usually does that. And lastly, of course, you'll see a whole different set of things. Again, carry on from the previous version, iOS 15. You do still have things like the app widget. You'll be having ability to add those. You can have the ability to modify your app library content and all of that. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next thing, and which is around performance. How's the performance been on the 12 mini on iOS 16? Well, as you can see here, it's performing like it should here so far. Things like calling and texting, again, it will do to get the job done. When it comes to browsing, as you can see here, it's able to just pop up, open up a page without any issues. Things like the apps natively built in, they all work fine. And then we went a step further. We started to test out applications like games that most people play or use, social media apps, your video streaming apps, any kind of apps that you name it, shopping apps, productivity apps, all of that has been stable so far. So that's a good thing. We haven't seen any major things where users are complaining about app crashing or app not working. Again, that's kind of what most people go with the iOS ecosystem, is that its ability to have apps always running like they should. Again, it's really frustrating sometimes when apps aren't working, but that isn't the case when you upgrade to iOS 16 that we have seen so far. So apps, again, works like they should, so you shouldn't have any issues there. Now let's talk about the last thing, is the battery. We quickly mentioned that battery on the 12 mini was kind of a little bit of disappointing, considering it's around only 227 mAh, which the battery could have been bigger, but because it's a smaller phone, they couldn't fit a bigger side capacity battery. But you'll notice here when you do upgrade it to it, we haven't seen any noticeable or big change in terms of how much battery life you get on iOS 16. Some users has mentioned they got a little bit better battery life. You just said maybe a little bit deteriorated. We also seen to extreme where some people said they seen some fast draining batteries, but after to do things like reboot or force restart, that should resolve the issue, because it is only a 2-year phone. You shouldn't expect to break. So that's kind of the overview of the issues that we've seen so far. Again, it's only been a couple days since we started to use iOS 16. We suspect there's going to be more things that come out, which will keep you guys posted and updated. That's why if you guys have upgraded to iOS 16 or thinking about it, leave your experience, or what happened with you so far using iOS 16. Leave a comment in the comment section with your experience so that everyone can also see. And while you're at it, make sure that like and subscribe button. We really appreciate you guys supporting this channel and our update that we give you. So thanks for watching, guys. See you guys next time.